I'm Eva Salyer, and I'm going to tell you about the most important part of art making, in my opinion. It's curiosity. So here I am, right here. This is the first painting I ever did in a class, a landscape, in a watercolor class in Tahoe about 3 summers ago. And here's the landscape I'm working on right now. And I'm looking at this last night going, gosh, how did I get to this point of discovery? And it wasn't just caffeine and attitude, mental breakdowns. But it's being curious. It's being willing to make bad art. So there's this saying that like 1 out of every 4 paintings you make is good or you're gonna like, and I say it's more like 1 out of 10. So if you made 100 paintings, you would really like 10 of them. And if you're not willing to go through the bad ones to find the good ones, then you need to maybe figure out why you're not willing to change, or open-minded enough or curious enough. So it's not the fact that you're closed-minded. Maybe you're set in your ways. I do this is how I do it, or I'm not good at art, right? That's a good one. That'll stop you in your tracks. But to get from, this point of looking and playing with materials to like this point where if I know that if I want to add like a brown shadow here, there's probably about 12 different ways to do that. And I had to do a lot of really bad paintings to learn little tiny things like that. So I'm just going to set up to work on this painting because I think you'll get to know how I set my art up. I use Nova Color paint and I work out of these little tubs. I find it super easy. When I'm in art class, I'll do things like I'll put some paint right there. I want to add, this is way too big of a brush. I want to add a little bit of this chromium oxide green to the painting right here. So I don't just want to add it straight on there. I got my matte medium, which makes it a little transparent. I'm grabbing my filbert, which is like, you can really get some squoosh marks in there with the filbert. The point I wanted to make right now with all this right here is that I wouldn't have gotten to this point of discovery. It's not like skill level, really. It's just how much are you willing to discover about your art making through repetition and curiosity. It took me a long time to figure out what a filbert does. It took me a long time to figure out I like adding matte medium to the green. It took me a long time to figure out, looking at that's chromium oxide green. So there's all these parts and curiosity that make the creative act. When you're being creative and you're totally like, it's almost like you're channeling. A lot of people think you're thinking hard, but really your brain is off. When the good stuff is coming out, in my opinion, you become this awesome art robot. And so it's just these subtle little things that I go, oh, I want to add a little chromium oxide green to this part here. I'm not scared to grab some of it and put it here, because so many times I've grabbed paint with a filbert and put it on a canvas. I kind of know what it's going to do at this point. So it gives me a little confidence of how to push the paint around. Because really, making art is it's a bunch of small decisions. It's just like life. It's just a bunch of small decisions. The cool thing about painting is that you can paint over it, especially with acrylic. You can just keep painting over it. I can do this whole sky blue again, and I can bring all the leaves back again, and it'll just keep adding more and more depth. I've gone over these hills at least 4 or 5 times with different slash marks. I brought that creamy edge, really hard edge, all the way back, crossed all these things out and brought them all back again, because I've done it so many times as far as just pushing the paint around that I know what the paint will do. So that's why curiosity and repetition are so important, and people who've been making art a long time will always say repetition, but I think they should really push the curiosity aspect of what does that do? Why does that do that? And when you go to do a painting a day for 30 days, at some point you'll get bored. And when the boredom happens, now that's when a lot of times people will say the most greatest moments of innovation will happen. So if you're staying with me here, the point is just keep making art. You can't know if you're gonna like it. You can't care if someone will like it. You can't go, oh, I'm gonna make $1 million. I'm gonna paint this, because that will not develop your personal style. Your personal style is what lights you up. It's the things that make you the most curious of art become your personal style. And so for me, it's always been like, how do I control this paint? I've always been more comfortable with a pencil. How do I control this paint? Well, I've had to play with paint for a very long time to know what it's going to do. To know that if I want to just do a little bit of chromium oxide green here, I would take a lot of this matte medium, have hardly any paint color in it. See how it's almost clear? And now I can push it in places I was scared to push it before. One little shade at a time. So, paintings aren't just one solid decision, top corner to right, bottom corner. Paintings are decisions and mistakes being corrected over and over and over again. I always say that, like, the aspect of making a painting is basically just covering the things you don't like over and over again until you like everything that's left. It's really interesting, but that's kind of how I do my abstract paintings. So here I'm looking at this painting. Here's the picture. I don't even know if you can see it. Here's the picture I'm painting. This is actually a picture of my backyard, which makes me extremely grateful that I live in such a beautiful place, that I can paint a picture of my backyard. And I did need to come clean about something specifically in this video, because when I was sitting outside in a field in Tahoe, and I was looking at the mountains, and I was thinking blue, and I was thinking shades and stuff, that I didn't even know what the word value meant. I didn't know what a midtone was. I didn't know what a midtone was for a really long time. And they're crucial if you want to do certain art styles. Anyways, so the thing I wanted to come clean about is that I've always been making this like graffiti. It's not graffiti. I've been making this like messy, acrylic, vibrant, colorful women's heads, plants, exploring, finding my style, finding things I want to paint that like make me excited about painting. And I've always said, literally to come out of my mouth, how incredibly boring landscapes are, and how I'm so glad I'm not a landscape artist. And it makes me feel so bad now, like knowing how less curious I was at that time. Because knowing how curious I am now, this is years into this hard study I've been doing, and like, where can I push my art to the furthest points? What does paint do? Maybe I'm a landscape artist. Maybe I am. What if I'm every kind of artist? Why stay in such a lane and push other things out? I get so excited when I look at this. And the little shadow comes here. The little purple hint in the bottom of that cloud. So there's some points I wanted to make. Here's my little list. Let's see if I made some of my points here. Discovery mindset is important. Are you willing to make a bunch of ugly art to discover how paint works, or whatever your medium is? Who cares? Who cares what anyone thinks? Who cares what anyone thinks about any art you've ever made or will ever make? That has nothing to do with you. Their opinions of what you make has nothing to do with you. Say it over and over and over and over and over. Because you'll spend years of your life taking things personally, and it'll change your art style. Don't let anyone's words coming out of their mouth about your paintings change your art style. Okay? You don't paint for them. You paint for you. It makes you feel alive. It makes your life feel worth living. That's why we make art. Okay? Staying curious keeps it going. If you don't know what you like to paint, go up to a stranger on the street, and say, tell me 10 things I should paint. Write down all 10 and paint all 10. Which one was the most fun? Do that one again. Which one sucked the least? You want to get better at making art? or you want to evolve your own skill set, it's not a better or worse thing. You want to get more curious and get better at the craft of pushing the paint. You need to have a discovery mindset. You need to stay curious. You need to be willing to push through 100 of these, maybe 1,000. A year. What if you did this for a year? A year of that to get to that. To get this to come out, I had to take a class. I had to ask somebody else how to paint. I had to put myself so far out of my comfort zone that I was almost crying in the car before I went into class because I am so extremely awkward in public. That's why I'm a YouTuber. I hope you learned from me the most, I think, important part of art making, in my opinion, which is curiosity paired with willingness to suck. Because you know in the back of your mind, say it with me, I can always paint over it. Thank you for coming to my channel. Tell me things I should make videos about in the comments. I didn't even paint on this video. I just started talking. Anyways, I've had this channel going for a while, and I just wanted to, show you my face and say hi to you and talk to you for a little bit. So thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate it. Yeah. If you like art, subscribe. Say hi in the comments. Thank you. Keep making art. Make crappy art for me.